The reason why I'm a little bit harsh on the fatherless folks is because they can live life without experiencing male protection or male flexibility. When you are raised by a strong father, like I was, you realize that men can go from playing with your kid on the living room floor like a gorilla and having fun and being silly to pulling a gun on an intruder who's trying to hurt the same child. Now, you may not like either of those. Some people get very uncomfortable with the idea that a man could be this diverse, but I was raised by the scariest man I've ever seen, even in the movies, aside from someone who's, chopping people up with a machete. But my father was so terrifyingly scary when things needed to be put in its place, and silly enough to rip a fart at the dinner table, have his belly be pushed in too far on the table, and everything on the table shake. So imagine there's 6 of us eating dinner. He farts. He thinks it's so funny. He starts laughing. We all start laughing because for some reason farts are funny. And everything on the table is going gling, 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 gling. Okay, and the same man, if you were to enter while we're eating dinner without knocking and walk too fast into our kitchen, he'll get up and he will literally grab your throat, lift you off the ground, and he will slap you until you're unconscious within this fast. Now, you can say, oh, but that's what I was raised with. That's what a man does. A man protects his family, laughs with his boys, provides, protects. That's why most people in today's world who have not had a loving father nearby, and I feel awful, find male, what would you call that? Like the wave of ups and downs with males to be extremely intimidating. In fact, the schools want to medicate it when really a man is supposed to go as ridiculous as what I just said about hurting someone, trying to hurt his family, to laughing at a fart. Okay, this is a beautiful thing that testosterone does. That's why, don't be offended, but that's why there's more male geniuses throughout the world in the sense of brain power across the history of time, and more male psychotic, murderers, because testosterone brings this being into higher highs and lower lows. It creates the havoc of war and violence. We all know that. And it creates the power to create, invent, and industrialize the entire world. That is the beautiful thing about having a father. So when you're raised that way, you don't get all thrown off by words. Words, when you're raised by a man like I was raised, words are just your freedom. If one day you're mad at me, you go and you say, you know what, Greg, you're blah, 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 this is how I feel, right? I'm so happy to hear your truth that I can hear, oh God, I hurt this guy, number one. Let me apologize. He's this and this and that. Maybe I should change this and this and that. It's all very clear. It seems to be conflict, but it's actually direct, quick, precise, emotionally charged communication. Now, if he has a weapon, he wants to strike me, that's different level. But he's just saying, I can't, right? Now, I love him even more, or I care about him even more because he trusts me with his rage. I am not a sponge. I'm not going to go, oh my God, you screamed at me. It's not about me. That's narcissistic. I am going to be able to understand what's happening because males do this, I think, way more effectively. He's giving me the information. Now, if he's manipulative or psychopathic or something, that's a whole different game. I could see the game if he's trying to mess with me. But if he's hurt and he loves me or I love him or we're friends or we respect each other and he's yelling at me from a compassionate thing because I always park the dump truck in the wrong spot. He's told me 10 times, but this time a little kid was too close and I didn't see it, but the kid could have been killed by the dump truck and I don't seem to care because he told me 10 times. So now he's so scared that kid's gonna get hurt. I didn't listen 10 times. On the 11th time, he's screaming at me. It doesn't make me go, oh, I'm a victim. I want to go to a therapist and I need he treats me. No. Now, I'm not even talking about women. I'm just talking about when you experience this, no one is weird as Trump even bothers you. Trump is a whatever. Obama, Bush, these people do not even affect you because you could see right through them. And this is the gift of being loved by a man. It's beautiful. Now, the reason, again, why I sound so harsh on the fatherlessness thing is because not because of women or divorces or anything. It's because the system and the media and all of the crap that we see, just the same reason that something fishy happened on 9/11, they want this person out of the picture. They don't want a father like I had. My father could stop you in his tracks. It don't matter if you were a chief of police, a fireman. He didn't do it with weapons. He did it with the gusto of justice, knowing his rights and knowing who's right and wrong. He wasn't always good. He wasn't always right. He was an A-hole often. But everyone who crossed his paths, 95% of the time, whether they be presidents, governors, they all had the same thing at the end. Unless they were criminal. If they were criminal or malicious, they don't like my dad. But if they weren't, they'd go, you got to respect them. You've got to respect them. And that's all he ever wanted. A man doesn't want to be liked, but he does enjoy respect because he will give respect. So that's why malice, women, broken people, witches, drug dealers, all those crazy hurting people, they go after your respect. They try to get people not to respect you. But they do that through lies. They have to change the narrative. This is why, and they do it in the courts. It goes from the cop giving you a ticket all the way to you going to jail. They can control all of the narrative in the courts, and then they go, Your Honor, he's very scary. Now, if I was the judge, I'd be like, what do you mean he's scary? Well, he said, gee, damn it. You're like, yeah, but officer, you have a gun and a taser. He said, gee, damn it, and you became scared for your life, so you shot him in the leg. I'm making a joke, but do you see, this is what is so beautiful about having a father. Now, it doesn't mean your father has to be like my father, which was a little bit too much rage. But when your father is steadfast and he loves you and he's nearby and he doesn't abandon you and he wants to help you, no matter how he expresses it, except for abusive and dark things that we won't say, you get a leg up in this world because you get to see the power of the male. I never thought of women as not as powerful as men. Never. Until about 40 or 45 years old, when I saw, and I shouldn't say until, but I started to see that women have a different survival tactic, and it has nothing to do with anything I'm talking about in this last 8 minutes. So I had to learn that and then learn how to respect what they do in order to survive. Remember I talked about the higher levels of geniuses and the lower levels of violent criminals among men? That's real. Ladies have a smaller kind of seismograph. There are geniuses, don't be fooled. There are definitely female geniuses and there are definitely female murderers, right? It's just the numbers aren't as high. The frequency isn't common for all women. You know why it's more centralized? Because they make babies. They make life. A baby is nurtured and loved and given life through the mammaries, through the uterus, through the hips, through the compassion of the woman who turns into a mother. And she's like this because as the baby goes, she's like, this isn't about feminism or freedom or your abilities or your intelligence. I'm not talking about that. This is how genetically we're coded. It's beautiful. That's why when the building's on fire, okay, remember the guy's like, the building's on fire. The woman goes, go in there and save them. She doesn't go, I'm going in to save them. Seldom. she will scream and go, "Oh my God, the building's on fire!" So that the men, the guys who are crazier than her, well, we're gonna go in there and save them. We're dead, right? She's like, I have to keep humanity going. Please go in there and save everyone. It's so beautiful to understand that this is how it works. It's so beautiful. So when I say, so I can't even like teach anymore the way that I want to teach because society is so weirdly, the PC movement and all this stuff, you can't even like talk. So like, if anything, I'm going to open up an all boys school because I just want to let it rip and then have it out with a kid if he's really unhappy, and he'll know I always care about him. I won't abandon you, young man. I love you. I'll help you. I'll be here for you. But this is how it is. And if I lie to you, what good is that? Why you're paying me? I'm going to lie to you and tell you all this stuff. So the point of this is if you were burdened with a father that was absent, hurting, all that, stepfathers are like saints. They're like uncles and teachers. I was a teacher who stepped in for a lot of people as much as I could. Not really like a father, but somewhat like an uncle for many. So what you want to do is learn masculine love. It doesn't matter what gender you are. Learn what masculine love looks like. Maybe have a friend of masculine love. And when a teacher is teaching you and he's a masculine energy, to me, it's the most beautiful of lessons. It always is. I've had all kinds of great teachers. My female teachers taught me in a very nurturing way, but my male leadership was like an apprentice, and that's what boys need. I can't speak for girls. I really don't understand that part of girls, but among men, we must apprentice. We're not as smart as girls like that. A girl could sit down, you could tell her 25 steps to being a doctor, and she'll memorize them. A guy, you got to give him like a stethoscope. You got to blow in the stethoscope, and he'll be, oh my God, that's loud. We're like gorilla dumb, and then we grow into having a stronger ability to think. But I'm just saying, love the male. If your dad wasn't there, this isn't a knock against you. I could criticize all kinds of stuff about myself, but I am in love with my life because as my father gave me these tools, God said, you want to see why you need those tools? And he had my love, my heart turned against me with false lies and setups and the most horrifying stuff, really bad stuff. But if my father didn't teach me how to be a strong, powerful man, I would have crumbled under what was projected and weaponized shame, weaponized horribleness. If my father didn't give me the power of him, I would have probably died. I'm not even joking. I would have come very close to being dead. So with the power of the lion, or whatever you call it, I can look and say, oh, and the symptoms are all very same across the board by the people who wished me such doom, and that is they don't understand anything that I'm talking about here in this video. And that's kind of why I'm hoping they watch this. I love you. You love you. You respect you in a way that makes you realize that if you walk into a room, let's say if you walk into a room and there's 50 people in that room, you know you're doing something right if 30 of them have a very uncomfortable feeling around you. Maybe you're super attractive and 30 people don't like that. Whatever it is, that is true power. It isn't what I used to think it was, because I didn't understand that I wasn't walking in my masculine. And thanks to the people who I might have mistreated in the last few years through words, I can't thank you enough for bringing out my father in me. I'm sorry for anything I might have said that have hurt you, but I think maybe we're both sorry. I love you. I miss you. See you around.